Hey, what's up, enthusiast? It is Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another roller coaster review. Today, I will be talking about one of my favorite launch roller coasters of all time, Top Thrill Dragster. And I mean, there's really no need for an introduction here. I mean, this is one of the most iconic roller coasters on the planet. Every Cedar Point picture you see, Dragster's probably somewhere in it. So let's go further in depth with the roller coaster. I have ridden this roller coaster a lot of times. Cedar Point is my home park, and I love going there a couple times a year to ride some of my favorite roller coasters on the planet. And this is easily one of my favorite ones in the park. I just love this ride. So why is it one of my favorites? Well, let's get right into the review. So when you first see this roller coaster, it is just a complete mammoth. I mean, you don't see this while you're walking in the park like some other roller coasters. You see this when you're driving to the park on the beautiful Cedar Point Causeway. I mean, this is probably one of my favorite views of all time. I love seeing that causeway. And the two coasters that you'll see immediately are Millennium Force and Top Thrill Dragster. And Top Thrill Dragster, even from the front gate, you see Top Thrill Dragster roaring over that top hat, and it looks incredible. Over and under Gatekeeper, you're walking in the park, and after a couple rides, you're looking at that main midway, and you just see in the far distance this huge, colossal ride, and it is just calling your name. Well, when you get to the main midway, the main entrance isn't right there. But when you're on the Dragster midway, you could see so much theming. You could see a couple gift shops. You could see the bleachers, which is basically the viewing point for Top Thrill Dragster. And this is what makes Top Thrill Dragster a pretty cool ride to watch. There are actually bleachers that you could sit on, like on an actual drag race track. And you could sit down if you don't want to ride. You could watch other people ride. You get a perfect view of the roller coaster from those bleachers. Under those bleachers are some concessions. There are a couple smaller flat rides around the Dragster midway. There's also Corkscrew. But while you're walking down there, you'll see a lot of racing theming. I mean, not theming equivalent to like a theme park, but for a Cedar Fair park, the theming's pretty good. And then you finally see the entrance. You see the major motor room right behind it, and you just see all the statistics while you're waiting in line. And I love the queue for this ride because unlike King to Cot, Six Flags Great Adventure, the queue is actually in the ride, like I guess in the layout of the ride. It's in between the two sides. And so every single time that coaster goes up and down, you get to see it firsthand from one of the best views in the park. As a coaster enthusiast, waiting in that line actually makes me a little nervous. I mean, seriously, I don't chicken out on rides anymore, but this is probably one of, if not the only ride that I still get a little nervous. I mean, I still ride it 100% of the time, of course, but I do have that small feeling that I'm about to accelerate from 0 to 120 in less than 4 seconds. And I have to say, when you enter the station of Top Thrill Dragster, all that nervousness quickly turns into just adrenaline pumping in your stomach. You feel it. And I mean, it is awesome. When you're not even on the ride, your heart is beating fast, and you are so excited to get on this thing. Once you head into the station, it won't be long until you hear Republica's Ready to Go, and that's basically the theme song for the overall ride. And let me just say, it gets you ready to go. It plays it over and over in the station, and you never get tired of it. Well, I mean, some people might, but I love this song choice for Top Thrill Dragster. And I don't know if this is a coincidence or not, but it seems like most of the time it is perfectly timed with the trains. Like when the song stops, the train rolls out of the station, and by the time the next cycle plays, when it starts to play the song again, another train launches from 0 to 120 miles an hour. If it's meant to do that, that's pretty sweet. But the station is actually a double loading station. One side is for fast lane, and the other side is for the regular line. And I go to Cedar Point with fast lane. That's why I only go a couple times a year. And I wait in that station. It's either a very long wait for the front or a very short wait near the back. And a question I get a lot is it worth it to ride the front row? Well, I would say at least once you have to ride it in the front row in your lifetime. I've ridden it twice, and once was because I was a single rider, and that was sweet. But anyway, the second time I waited, and I guess it was worth it. I wouldn't do it over and over again in a day, but I'd rather try out other rows. I would actually say the back row is almost equal to the front row. I love the back row of this thing, and the line for the back row is never that long. That's a really good perk of being a back row rider. I love the line for the back row. It's very short. But quickly you get on this ride, and the T-bars are very comfortable. You do not get stapled by the employees. You have so much room, and it is an incredible feeling that you are about to launch. And so if you're fast lane, you will be the first to launch. If you're the regular line, you will be the second to launch. So the launch track, I would have to say, for my people who are kind of scared of this ride or haven't ridden it yet or have maybe chickened out during past trips to Cedar Point, this is the scariest part of the ride. The launch track is easily the scariest part because of all the anticipation. And by the launch track, I really mean before the launch track. The time where you stop right before you just see that launch track and 420-foot top hat right ahead of you. You know, as a coaster enthusiast now looking at it, it's an awesome experience. That is one of the best parts of the ride. Just the pure adrenaline, your heart beating. You are just so hyped for this launch. And it has probably one of the most iconic lines on any on-ride audio. Keep your arms down, head back, and hold on. You see people in the bleachers looking at you, taking pictures, looking at you in complete just horror. And it is awesome. And you are just sitting there. You either are one of those crazy people who put your hands up, which I'm one of those, or you're just one of those people that keeps the hands down. You hear the magnetic hydraulic brakes kick in, and about 6 seconds later, you see the lights go on, and there is no time to react. That launch immediately kicks in. And I'm one of those people, last second, when I see those lights turn on, I just pop my hands up. It doesn't hurt or anything. It is actually a really fun experience. And this launch is super intense. I mean, this might be one of the most intense elements out of any ride I've ridden. I actually think this and the first turn on I-305 tie for most intense element I've personally been on. Both of those elements are so intense, and I love them both. But one of them is positive G's. This one is just acceleration G's. You are pushed into the back of your seat like a pancake, and it is awesome. It is pure adrenaline. It is one of the best freaking elements out of any ride I've ridden ever. It's awesome. It is just amazing. I can't describe it. This launch is beyond words. After that incredible launch, I can't. After that launch, you go up extremely fast. I think you pull around 5 Gs at this moment. You go up into that top hat, and just 2-3 seconds later, you go from 20 feet to 420 feet in such a short time. Like, when you see off-ride footage of this ride, it is incredible because you just see it soar up. But when you're on the ride, you know, you're launching and all that, you blink and you are at the top. You are 420 feet in the air, and it is incredible. The view is one of the best. I say the best on any roller coaster I've personally been on. If you look to your left, you could see all of like Sandusky and the Cedar Point Peninsula and the Cedar Point Resort. If you look to your right, you could see Frontier Town and Lake Erie. And right after that, you go down into this awesome 90-degree drop. It's more like a spiral, and I know a lot of people don't like the spiral drop, but I do love this 270-degree roll. I love it because it's so disorienting, and when you look to your left or right while going down that drop, well, you're completely flying out of your seat, by the way. You're getting serious airtime. You're just looking past you, and support beams are just flying past you, and you go back down, you pass the finish sign, and actually, you reach over 100 miles an hour for a second time, and then you finally get to the brakes. And after that brake run, everyone is just cheering, applauding, and first-time riders are in just utter shock on how incredible that ride is. When the ride's over, people are laughing, and when you get off, you get to see your on-ride photo. And your on-ride photo is pretty cool because this is also really unique. It shows 2 on-ride photos of you. One of you actually launching 100 miles an hour, and the second one of you going down the top hat at 100 miles an hour. So it shows both of the reactions before and after the top hat, and I think that's pretty cool. The on-ride photo shop does not have a real gift shop to it, but across the Midway there is a Top Thrill Dragster gift shop that is mainly just other rides at Cedar Point, but it is themed to Top Thrill Dragster. My immediate reaction is I want to get right back on this thing, but before I do, I gotta make sure that it's still open because this ride is super messed up when it comes to stuff like that. This is the real elephant in the room, and this is what a lot of my fans have been waiting for during this review. This ride is down off and on throughout the day most of the time. If not, then it will be closed all day. It is usually opened up in the morning, and later in the afternoon it might maybe not run again. So make sure to get this ride up very early in the morning, first ride there, maybe even second ride there. Just get right to Dragster, and the lines won't be long either. And I have not experienced a rollback either. I know this is a weird change of subjects, but for the people that have experienced the rollback, tell me how your experience was in the comments, because I am so jealous of you right now, because I've always wanted to experience a rollback. But anyway, that's going to close off my review right there. This is Top Thrill Dragster. I really cleared everything on this ride. There are no extra features that I have left out. It's a very short ride, but that short ride packs an extreme punch that most rides at Cedar Point could only dream of. I consider this ride one of the most intense rides I've ever been on. Maybe not as intense as Intimidator 305, because this has a couple intense elements, like the entire ride on I-305 is intense. But it's still a really good ride. This is in my top 20, and it's actually in my top 5 at Cedar Point. I love this ride to bits. It is a sick ride. That launch is awesome. And so that's going to conclude my list. This is Cedar Flags, and I will see you later. What do you think of Dragster? Have you ridden it? Do you want to ride it? What are your expectations? Let me know down below. And thanks for the rapid channel growth lately. I really appreciate it. Let's get to 1,000 by the end of the year. Maybe even 1,000 by Christmas. I don't know. We could do a lot. But I predict that we'll reach 1,000 by the end of the year. This is Cedar Flags. Check out my other videos. Press subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video, and if you didn't like it, then go ahead and press that dislike button. I don't get offended. I mean, if I had more dislikes than likes, I'd get offended. But this is Cedar Flags, and I will see you later.